So last time we talked about the types of survey, but then once you've got that data, you need to know how to turn it into useful information for setting your direction of your product. So this time we're going to talk about needs and wants, pains and gains, user stories and personas, and positioning graphs. And again, please do your own research and speak to experts. So this is one of the problems in surveying, is that the customer has no idea about the future. They don't really know what they want in the future. You have to show that to them. You, as the product owner, as the product manager, have to give them a vision of the future, and you have to get that from customer information. So it's quite a tricky chicken and egg cycle. A famous example of this is this quote from Henry Ford, where he said, if I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Apparently he never actually said that, but the point is that before he came along, cars were luxury items. Almost no one could afford them. What his great revolution was making them affordable to the mass. And the masses, at the time, were using horses, or they were walking. So all they could envision was walking or going by horse but faster. They could never dream that they could actually own a car. What you need to do is you need to get down through your questioning, through your surveys, to the needs and wants and the pains and gains. That starts with things the customers can really understand. So you start with, when do they use the product or service? So that's the scenes. Then you look at, how do they use the products or services today? That's the jobs or the tasks. Then you ask them about alternatives, so how other ways they could do those jobs or tasks. What are they looking to accomplish? So what are the needs and practical benefits? What must they have? And then ranking those things is very, very important. So getting a priority order of their needs. For many products, we want to know, when they use the product or service, what do they feel? So what are the emotional benefits? We'll talk more about that in a value video. And what problems do they have? What pains do they have? If you're very, very lucky, at the end, you can ask them, in a perfect future, what do you want to accomplish or do or remove or add? And that's the wants or gains. But like I said, most of the time the customer has no idea about this. So you have to kind of propose something and check it with them. But if you structure your questions in that way to get those answers, you will have a lot more success in building a good product. One thing that you need to do is probably build a persona. So if you're doing the survey, or someone else is doing the survey, you need to have a way of communicating the people that you talked to the rest of your company who weren't involved in the survey, who didn't meet that customer. So a persona is an outline of a hypothetical person representing your customer. And you can have several different personas if you've got several clear customer groups. The fewer the better, honestly, unless they're very, very different. But this is how you communicate with the rest of your company. This is an internal thing. So, for example, we might have a target customer we call Maggie. She's 60 years old, female, single. She enjoys sleeping and eating and being with her family. She dislikes dogs and sudden loud noises and too much attention. Now, if this represented a group of customers and was general enough to represent a group of customers, this would be a great customer profile, because it tells you about their likes, their dislikes, and a bit about their demographics. However, it should never actually be one person, because one person doesn't represent a group. This is my actual cat, so that's not a great example. And of course, for data privacy laws, you can't use the details of one person like this. But also, if you're generalizing and you're making something up which is based on a group of people, it should be realistic. So it shouldn't be someone who's like basically James Bond or Angelina Jolie or something like that, because unless you're actually selling to James Bond or Angelina Jolie, it's not a real customer. So it should be real enough to be believable, but not specific enough to be an actual person. Once you've got those personas, then what you need to do is write user stories or hypothesis statements, usage statements. So that's a very simple format. As a customer, I want to do something so that I can achieve some benefit. So, for example, someone watching this video might be, as a new product owner or product manager, I want to understand how to learn from my customer so I can build better products. They're very simple. You should have probably quite a lot of them to represent your whole product and everything it's doing. But these are good ways of communicating with especially R&D. Note that it doesn't tell you how, it's just what you want to achieve. So it's nothing technical. It's real customer voice. Also remember to set acceptance criteria. So you should always, for every user story, understand what is the condition when the customer thinks they've achieved their need. And with some of this data that you've gathered, you can usually build 2-axis or more axis if you want to be really clever, positioning graphs. So these are also sometimes called perceptual maps. So you can take 2 items which are polar opposites of each other and graph them against 2 items which are also polar opposites of each other. And sometimes by doing this, you can find interesting information out. And this is very useful for positioning your product or your brand against another. And sometimes you find unexpected opportunities. So these can be quite powerful. So I hope you found all of that useful. In the next set of videos, we're going to be talking about understanding the market and the competitors. Thanks.